Hello and welcome to Spirals from Jupiter. My name is Kimberly Pepper and this is my brand new podcast. I'm so happy you guys are here. Thank you for joining me. The reason I have started this podcast is because I would like to share some of the shamanic knowledge that I've gained from the universe with all of you. And so I will do that first by introducing myself and telling you a little bit about my story and how I came on this path. So last year in June of 2019, it was June 25th to be exact, I was in a terrible spot emotionally. I wasn't doing well. I was battling with depression and I was definitely losing that battle. I would open my eyes every day and wake up and realize, oh my God, I hate it here. I am suffering. This is awful. And if this is what life is all about, this kind of sucks. So that was my mind state. And then, so let's take you back to June 25th of 2019. I was collapsed sort of on my floor with my back against the couch, kind of just ready to give up completely because, it was just overwhelming. It was a lot. And I had what I can only call an out-of-body experience. There aren't proper words to describe it, but I guess that will do. Yeah, so it's an out-of-body experience where I kind of saw myself and I saw that I was suffering and I had this deep compassion for myself and I realized that a lot of the suffering was a result of my own choice. And ever since then, my life has changed in really powerful ways. And that's what I want to share with you guys. Um, so, at first I thought, oh, well, this is empowering. This is great. I'm really embracing this. But what I didn't realize was that it was the start of a journey, of an incredible journey that I had no idea about. And actually, it was through this process that I came to learn that I am a shaman, which is funny because before that night, I was extremely logical. I was even compared to Spock by my friends. I wasn't interested in shamanism, had no idea what it was even about. And actually, this is a funny side story. Um, in 2000, I think it was like 2009. It was sometime around there, I think. I was at a concert with my friends and it was a Morrissey concert and I walked outside and I was the sober friend that night and I was trying to wrangle my friends together and, I was driving and all that. And this man came up to me. I thought he was homeless and I thought he was mentally ill. And he says to me, "You are a shaman and I want to give you blessings. Is that okay?" And I have a soft spot for people who are homeless. I've been homeless myself growing up. I thought he was also mentally ill, and I felt sorry for him. So I said, "Sure, yeah, go ahead." I'm not even really paying attention. I'm just trying to keep an eye on my friends because at this point, some of them are very intoxicated. But so he says, he grabs my hands and he gives me these blessings and he tells me, "Yes, you're a shaman." I didn't think anything of it. Even me and my friends, we sort of kind of like mocked it afterwards. But then fast forward to 2019 and I find out that's true. I never gave it any thought. In fact, one of my friends reminded me of this man because I had totally forgotten about him. I mean, this is how much it just wasn't on my radar to be a shaman, much less practice shamanism. It's not anywhere I ever thought my life was going to go. But nonetheless, it's been an adventure. This is my truth, so I'm speaking it. And I want to just share it all with you and some of the things that I learned and how I was able to successfully dig myself out of, depression and hopelessness and despair and completely turn around from a point of where I was literally just going to give up. And I always said before that, I said, I just need the tools. I can get out of this. I just need the tools. But at the time, I couldn't see that. I just was stuck in this cycle of suffering and attracting the same things and the same situations over and over and over again, which also, like re-injured me and made me kind of just think, well, this is it. This is all there is to life, and this, again, absolutely sucks. Um, so, some of the first guidance that I got, because when I had this out of body experience, I was also connected to some guides. Some of the first guidance that I got was to embrace yourself with unconditional love. Now, I thought at the time that I did love myself and that, that's what I was doing. But turns out I don't think I knew what love actually was, because embracing yourself in unconditional love means embracing yourself wholly, like where you are, who you are right now, everything that you perceive to be a flaw, everything that you perceive to be a failure, it means embracing it fully and not judging yourself, kind of just getting rid of the judge and the victim mentality in your mind, which is really hard to do because we're really programmed to think that way in terms of duality, and also, you know, our entire system is that way, right? We have court systems, we have judges, we have juries. Things are, we're told from a very young age what is right, what is wrong, what is moral, what is just. So, when we don't meet that kind of measure, I think it creates this cycle where we are so hard on ourselves, where we just completely destroy ourselves. And it is a vicious cycle. I know that I was certainly in that cycle because I like other people, I just wanted to be a good person and kind of just make my mark in the world, but, for the better. And, anytime I felt like I was coming short of that, I would just beat myself up, and it was just this vicious cycle. But the truth of the matter is that if you continue to do that and you continue to beat yourself up, you are never going to get anywhere because you're not letting yourself. You're just taking a bat to your soul, basically. And, it doesn't help. And it also creates an inner voice inside of you, which many people refer to as the inner critic. Everyone's going to wrestle with that. It still pops up every once in a while, but now that I recognize it and it's not a part of my authentic self, I'm able to say, okay, that is not me. That's not something I would do or say to myself or anyone that I love, period. And I'm able to move on from it. But I guess the biggest part for me in my awakening was realizing that I had the choice to create my own reality. That was very powerful to me because I certainly wasn't feeling that way. I was feeling very trapped, like, oh my gosh, this is the cycle I'm in, and this is it. These were the cards that I was dealt, and they're not fair, and I can't do anything about it. That is, I see now that that was not the case. I was just repeating that narrative to myself over and over again. And we really are the sum of our thoughts, right? We are what we say we are to ourselves. Whatever you get up in the morning and you start thinking about where your attention goes, that will tell you a lot about yourself. It's a hard practice too to be aware of your thoughts and to catch your thoughts. It takes time, and it is a never-ending process, but it is really important if you want to learn how to take control of your own life. It's something that it will just completely change your life if you actually put it into practice every single day. And it is a little bit harder to live that way. So either things can be hard and you can just totally accept that, right? Things can be hard and you're defeated, or things can be hard and you're empowered. Either way, it's I'm not gonna lie, it's not the most easy thing in the world to implement. But you can definitely do it. You're not powerless. And that's what I realized. I realized that I wasn't powerless. And that is a very, very powerful thing in and of itself, right? Because when you're powerless, or you think you're powerless, you operate from an internal place of I can't do this, I'm already defeated, and so forth. When you're operating from a place of power internally, the world will start to change, and I've witnessed this in my own world. I've attracted people, you know, that are just completely different from the people that I was attracting before. I've attracted numerous opportunities. Everything. My entire world has completely opened up. So this work is worth it, especially since the world is just a reflection of you. It really is. So I'm a very, like I said before this awakening, I still am very logical. So I like to break things down into steps, and I like to kind of put information in little digestible bits so that it's easy to practice. Before my awakening, I read a lot of self-help books, tons and tons of self-help books. In fact, I was really trying to dig myself out of that depression. I was literally like grasping at everything that I could, except for shamanism, because I just had no idea about it. But I did get numerous psychology books, numerous books on, self-help. And one thing that I noticed about all of them was that, they would say things like, love yourself, or, make yourself a priority, or this, it's like, well, I have no concept of this. And I thought that I was doing it. It doesn't put it down. It doesn't, nothing that I read, and I read a lot, put it into easily digestible steps where you just you get up in the morning and this is what you do. They just kind of like very vaguely went over everything that you probably should do, and there was good advice for sure, but for me personally it was just like, these are not the tools. Like, you're telling me the destination, but you're not giving me the tools to get there, and that was a big problem for me. So what I want to do with this podcast is share some of the tools that I received, because even if one person hears this and, finds it beneficial, then I'll consider this worthwhile, because I know personally I was always just like, I need the tools, and I can't find them. And I was so hopeless, just to the point of where I wanted to give up on that. So the first piece of advice that I have, the first thing is that you have to make the decision to show up for yourself. And that is absolutely the first thing. You have to tell yourself, okay, these are cycles I'm participating in, and there is a great deal of responsibility involved in it as well, which can be a little bit scary and intimidating, because sometimes we participate in cycles because of things relating to our subconscious. It's not necessarily our fault, but we are still making the choice. And you have to be compassionate with yourself and say, okay, this happened a long time ago. This may be why I'm making these choices, and this may be why these cycles are happening. And being honest with yourself can be very difficult, but it is really refreshing. And once you get through the initial fear of it, it's amazing, because when you get to know yourself on such a deep and personal, intimate level, the external world becomes less of a ruler to you. You become your own ruler. So you know how people are always saying, like, oh, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you could be your own boss and that kind of thing. Well, this is the same concept, but it just applies to self-mastery. And self-mastery is something I think that would have to last a lifetime. I don't think that this work will ever stop, but it is so rewarding and it is so worth it. And finding your authentic self is a joy. It's an absolute joy. And like I said, there's fear associated with it, and it can be painful. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for anybody, but that is, that is a path to freedom. It's a path to freedom. And so often we focus on the external with jobs and, being an entrepreneur or other external things. But the fact of the matter is the external is in a state of constant change. We have to adapt to that. We have to know who we are in this world. We have to stand firm in that knowledge, confidently. We have to do that because otherwise we're going to be subject to the external tides forever. And that's just not really a good place to be. It's really not. Because if our minds are consumed with worry about the external world, for one thing, not only are we neglecting ourselves by doing that, but for another thing, we're just miserable. It's a miserable state of existence. So that's the first step. Just kind of telling yourself every day, wake up, I'm going to show up for myself. I love myself. And even if you don't believe that you love yourself, it's just great to just speak it over yourself. I love myself. I'm here for you. I'm here for you, which is yourself. It's a perfect way to start your day. And I try to start my day that way every day. And the next piece of advice I have would be to get up and, you're getting ready, look in the mirror, tell yourself some I am statements. Now, I am statements like I am, I am loved. I am love. That's even better. I radiate love. Things like this. And like I said, you may not feel it, but it's good to just kind of get up and practice that. We take in so much information from all kinds of sources everywhere. It's really important that we start our days with our own self-talk, with our own agendas. There are just so many people out there who have their own motives, and it's prevalent in advertising. There are tons of books about it that you can read, of how they use tactics to get your attention or to make you feel certain ways, to evoke emotion, and when we're not in touch with ourselves, I feel like we are very subject to these external things, especially advertising that is totally aimed to do that. In fact, I read a book once where it said that Target's advertising as executives were so intelligent and so able to analyze data that they sent a flyer to a woman who was pregnant before she even knew she was pregnant, based on her spending habits. That story has never left me. That is absolute insanity. So what's happening is people like these advertisers, right? People who we're not even connected to. We don't know them. We don't love them. We have no connection to them, but they certainly seem to know us better than we know ourselves. And in my opinion, that's an upside down world. And it's not a world I want to live in. So I think for all of us personally, it's just kind of time to reclaim our power. It's time to know who we are. It's time to take all of this back, all of our power back for ourselves, and to know that we're not powerless and that our lives can change with just one choice. Just one choice can change your entire life. And if you can think of the gravity of that, you can really, really start to see how getting up in the morning and telling yourself these things is a huge act. It's a huge act of self-love. So that's one thing. And then, so the third thing I have would be just to kind of release the judgment and victim cycles, right? If you feel like you haven't lived up to your own standards, what you should do is you should go and you should explore yourself internally. Now, you can say, why did I make this choice? Why did I make the choice to do something that I don't really maybe want to do, or that I feel a certain way about, that is negative? That's not an easy task, but it's absolutely necessary. Oftentimes when we do things that contradict us as a person, it's because we're out of touch with ourselves. And it's very brave. It's very brave to look at it that way and to say, all right, I'm going to explore this. I'm going to figure this out because I don't want this happening again. And this is my life and these are my choices, right? And taking a responsibility for something is different than beating yourself up over something. Now, something could happen a long time ago and you feel really bad about it, and let's say 30 years went by and you're still beating yourself up over that. No, that absolutely cannot happen if you want to know yourself, because that does nothing. It's actually sort of a distraction, and really it's a coward's way out, because you can just constantly, you sort of like, I'm punishing myself for it, but really you're not dealing with it. You're not dealing with the emotions behind it. You're not dealing with whatever it is inside of you that's contributing to the patterns that you don't like. And in fact, you're perpetuating it and leaning on the excuse of punishment to absolve you, basically. So, again, mastery of self is a very important thing, and it is the absolute first step and the never-ending step to enlightenment, I believe. I think that, many people in the spiritual community, they talk about ascension and all that. That's whatever. That's great, but we're here right now, and what we have is the moment, and what we have in the moment are our choices. And so that's what I'm hyper focused on, and a lot of my podcasts will be about that. I would like to have people on and, kind of talk about how they've implemented this kind of advice and how it's changed their lives. And I would like to just kind of focus on the moment. And also in this podcast, I want to talk about how the earth speaks and how the universe speaks, and how we can start to listen and really understand the concept of one, because we have become very separated from this planet, which is crazy, because we need this planet to live, and that's not an accident. So I would like to talk about that and trees and kind of hippie stuff, I guess, if you want to call it that. But otherwise, I am happy to have you guys here on my journey. I'm really grateful for the support. I am just so happy to have all of you here, and I love all of you, and I want to teach the concepts of unconditional love, and I really do strive every day to practice these concepts, and they have been life-changing. They have changed my life. They have changed other people's lives. All of the relationships I had in my life that were, negative or just stuck in bad cycles, those have completely changed, or they're just completely gone, because you're, like I said earlier, what you are internally, that is what your world is going to be. If you're a mess internally, and if you're, confused internally, the world's going to be a mess, and it's going to be confusing. So the more that you can get a grip on this, a handle on this, the better that it will be. And hopefully I can help and aid in your journeys and teach you what I know, and, make this crazy experience a ripple effect, because it didn't happen for no reason. It took me a very long time to come to terms with everything, because my logical mind was like, what is this? I have lost it. I have lost it. But really, I started to see how everything was changing my life, and how quickly my life changed after I put this into practice. So this is really what is motivating me. Everyone has motives. This is what's motivating me to share with you guys. I just, honestly, if there's just one person who needs the tools that I needed, and that I was so blessed to have found, then this is my motive. What can I say? So anyway, I hope you guys will join me on all of my adventures here. This is definitely going to expand. Hopefully I will become better at this, and I appreciate all of you again. So take care.